We now turn to questions, and I'd like to begin by once again acknowledging that tomorrow marks the 10th anniversary of the creation of DACA. And as we have acknowledged, DACA has allowed thousands of young people to come out of the shadows and gain access to work authorization and driver's licenses. DACA's protections opened up opportunities for these children who had grown up in the United States to pursue paths that previously seemed impossible. So many DACA recipients, like Dr. Larios, now adults in their 20s and 30s, who grew up in the U.S. and have gone on to contribute greatly to their communities. These dreamers are unmistakably American in every way except citizenship. But like Dr. Larios, they live in constant fear and uncertainty about their future. And that's because of Congress's failure 10 years later to provide DACA recipients and dreamers with legal status and a pathway to citizenship. It's well past time for us in the Senate to pass the Dream and Promise Act and to ensure that dreamers like Dr. Larios are able to stay permanently in this country that is their home. Dr. Larios, I'd like to begin by thanking you again for sharing your story with us, and particularly noting that you mentioned that you're the only one in your family, between your parents and your siblings, that is undocumented. Can you tell us what DACA's 10th anniversary means to you and how having DACA has impacted your life specifically in access to higher education?
Yes, thank you very much for the question, Senator Padilla. For me, when I think of the 10th anniversary of DACA, it really reminds us of what is possible when we give undocumented youth the opportunity to truly thrive, to be integrated into their communities, to be able to give back. It has taken a village to allow DACA to continue standing today. Many members of Congress in this room have stood by DACA and have supported the advocacy efforts of undocumented youth across the country. We have had to fight for our lives time and time again, especially when the program has been challenged at state and national levels. And although I am proud that the program continues to stand today, I'm disappointed that even after a decade, our futures are still uncertain and our anxieties around deportation have not been abated. I shared earlier in my testimony that I could not have become a doctor without the protections of DACA, and I stand fully by that statement. Accessing an advanced degree, especially in medicine, requires a work permit. It requires a functional social security number. Medical institutions want to know that when you admit students, they can complete fully their training. And we have to undergo vetting through background checks to work in VA centers and hospitals across the country. We're required to take licensing exams that also require proper documentation. And of course, we have to complete residency. And DACA has made all of these things possible for me, but it is not enough to provide full security. We still need permanent solution and a path to citizenship.
So thank you, Dr. Larios, and again for not just your story, but your example and your service. Our country needs the best doctors, and we need more. Particularly throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, you've been on the front lines, not just an essential worker, but a frontline essential worker, and I believe you deserve better than to live in fear of losing your status and your protections. I want to turn to a slightly different topic now. During the pandemic, as Mr. Borrell reminded us, international student enrollment in schools has dropped by 21%. But even before the pandemic, we were seeing a decline in students coming here to study. Between 2016 and 2019, the United States saw a 7% decrease in international student enrollment. This decrease cost our economy approximately 65,000 jobs and $11.8 billion. However, during the same time period, Australia saw a 45% increase in student enrollments, and Canada a 52% increase. Mr. Borrell, you testified earlier that when it comes to international students and increasing competition for global talent, our losses are others' gains. Can you explain why international students are choosing to study elsewhere over coming to the U.S., and what can we do to better attract and retain international students?
Thank you, Chairman. There are three factors that international students are mainly looking at when deciding where to go study. The first is obviously the quality of the academic program of the university and the availability of their course of study, particularly in advanced fields. In this area, the U.S. does very well. We know we have some of the best programs and the best universities in the world. But two other factors are also on the minds of international students. One is the ease and expediency of obtaining a student visa. And I really can't underscore enough how much other countries have done to streamline their processes, removing student interviews, for example, and expediting student visas. Again, Australia, Canada can process a student visa in 4 to 8 weeks. We're hearing from universities today that some of our students that were just admitted are getting their first in-person consular interview appointment in November 2023. So that gives you an idea of where you're going to choose where to go to college. And finally, students are also looking at a place where they can stay after graduation to work and contribute to that country. And again, we do not allow our international students a pathway currently to graduate and continue on to work and contribute to the U.S. economy.
Thank you.